Hello. So in this video we're going to look at the problem, find the cosecant of the angle such that you get the number negative 3.2715. And remember, this number is really the ratio of two sides of a right triangle, and specifically it's r over y. So it's the reciprocal of sine, which is y over r, so it's going to be r over y. Okay? So you get this number. Now, what happens is if you look on your calculator, you don't see cosecant, you see sine. And then you see above it sine inverse, or the inverse of sine. So, how am I going to do this? Well, in theory, what happens, you would theoretically say, oh, I'm going to take the inverse of the cosecant of both sides, and there we go. I'll get my theta, right? This undoes that. Here's theta. It's the inverse cosecant of negative 3.2715. But we just said, we looked on the calculator and there is no button like that. So what do? Well, I gotta do a little work. All right, so let's take a look at how we get around that. All right, so let me rewrite it here. Okay, and what I'm going to do is work with the definition of cosecant. Now, when I say that, remember the buttons that I have on my calculator are sine, cosine, and tangent, and then their inverses. So I've got to work with sine, cosine, and tangent. So those are the only buttons I can work with. So I know that this cosecant of an angle is the reciprocal of sine. So I'm going to say, well, that's by definition is 1 over sine of the angle. Okay. And now, ultimately I want to get to the angle. So I'm going to have to take an inverse at some point to undo the sine. But right now, I've got everything in the denominator, and that's really not comfortable. So I'm going to multiply both sides of the equation by sine of the angle. And remember, when I take the sine of an angle, what I'm really doing is finding the ratio y over r, which is just a number. So that's what I'm doing here, right? I don't know what that number is, but that's what's happening eventually. Okay, so this and this undo each other. I'm left with 1, right? So sine theta over sine theta is 1 times 1 is just 1. So now I have negative 3.2715 times sine theta. And remember, sine theta is just y over r, so it's just a number. So I have a number and a number times a number, right? All right, so now I'm still trying to get to sine theta, and what's happening to it? It's being multiplied by this number, negative 3.2715. So how do I undo that? I divide both sides by that, right? And so this is 1, and 1 times sine theta is just sine theta, is now 1 over negative 3.2715. So it's looking a little better. Now I want to get to this angle, but to get to that angle I have to undo the sine. So I'm going to take the inverse sine, right, of both sides. And now, finally, these undo each other. I'm left with the angle is the inverse sine of 1 over negative 3.2715, right? So now let's go ahead and put that in our calculator. And I happen to be, let's see, check what mode I'm in. I happen to be in radian mode, so my answer, the angle that I get right here is going to be in radian mode. If you want it in degree mode, you just put it in degree mode first and then do the inverse sign. So I'm going to do the inverse, right? Sine, second sine gives me the inverse sine. And remember, I need to do 1 divided by negative 3.1, nope, 3.2715. 2715. Let's see if I got it in there. Okay. And it didn't matter if I put the negative here or with the 1, really, right? It's still a ratio and it'll be negative, so So there we go. So we get -3. Here we go. Let's write it down. Theta is -0.3106422. I don't know how far they want to go. Okay. So again, if we're, let's see. So that should be, that's our answer in radians. If you need in degrees, you would just have a different mode. Okay. So thanks so much for listening.